TV news today. So we have things in the TV atmosphere.
Okay.
Jeffrey Toobin going back to CNN.
Yeah, that was a big deal. So if you remember, Jeffrey, I think it's Toobin, right?
Toobin. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So what happened with him is he was on a Zoom call at the beginning of COVID. Nobody could figure Zoom out, and clearly he couldn't. And for some bizarre reason, he decided that while he was on Zoom was a great time to whip it out and start masturbating, which was so weird. Weird on so many levels. It's like, you're not sitting in front of porn. There's a camera. People can see you. If you're too stupid to figure out, people can see you and what you're doing. Like, you're not home alone with Pornhub. Like, you do realize you're actually on a conference call with a bunch of people.
But he got his job back. So
yes, he did.
On the condition that he keeps a firm grip on himself and doesn't jerk him around. So if he does that, then he will keep his job at CNN. It's a fascinating story to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating that they gave him his job back and they acknowledged it. I don't know if you have the audio from that, but when he first came back, he sat there with, I think, Alison Camerata, and she said, let's go for it. Like, you were masturbating in public on Zoom, you got fired, and now you're back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she kind of encapsulated the whole thing in like this weird sentence. And my favorite part is that while she was saying this to him and welcoming him back, so in a lot of these TV stations, they sit in the station. They sit like in the middle of the station. There's nobody around.
Mm-hmm.
It's empty chairs, and you just see like, desks behind them or whatever. And normally there's people working, but I think, now because of COVID, people are working from home. The janitor, as they're having this conversation, just sort of sticks his head out and starts walking through the CNN hallways.
No.
Yeah. And that's my favorite part. So if you're going to show the video, I want people to keep an eye on the back right. You will see. Oh, there he is.
So let's start there.
Okay.
To quote Jay Leno, what the hell were you thinking?
Well, obviously, I wasn't thinking very well or very much, and it was something that was inexplicable to me. I think one point, I wouldn't exactly say in my defense, because nothing is really in my defense. I didn't think I was on the call. I didn't think other people could see me.
Mm-hmm.
You thought that you had turned off your camera?
That's what everybody says.
Look at the guy back there, though. That's my favorite part, is that one guy standing back there who's like, I don't even think, because what I read from people is that he is part of a different staff. He's either part of the lighting crew or he's part of the janitorial crew.
He's an engineer. He's fixing that computer right now.
Yeah, but he's not, though.
I thought that I had turned off.
Because he's watching this whole thing.
Zoom call. Now, that's not a defense. This was deeply moronic and indefensible, but
bye.
That is part of the story. And, I have spent the 7 subsequent months, miserable months in my life, I can certainly confess, trying to be a better person. I mean, in therapy, trying to do some public service.
Why do you need to go to therapy for that?
Bank, which
right, you're allowed to jerk off. Just don't do it in public is all.
Like, turn your computer off, moron.
I am trying to become the kind of person
even if you didn't think that they could see you, you're supposed to be on a Zoom call, whether you're listening to it or whether you're actually on it. You called up Zoom and you put yourself on there. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to jerk off, maybe do it with your computer closed or when you're not on Zoom or there's no meeting, you're not taking a phone call, your kids aren't in the room. Like, just to have just use your friggin' brain. So that's the thing about it that bothers me. It's like, I don't care that he was jerking off. Men jerk off, and so do women. Why would his decision making, the fact that that's the time he chose to do it, and his excuse is, I didn't think the Zoom was on.
That was thunder. Holy, I jumped. That was crazy. Anyway, my thought is that a CNN computer or is that his personal computer?
He works for the New Yorker and CNN, and it was a New Yorker meeting that he was on. It was a New Yorker meeting that he was on. He was at home on his laptop, which presumably was his laptop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wonder if it's a
And, I hope it was his laptop and his penis at least.
Yeah, it was. So that's one TV story. I have... That comes from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Okay, my favorite show, yeah.
That is now going off the air.
I know. I heard there's a whole campaign, hashtag save Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole campaign to save it. But they kind of closed the show. They gave us an ending. I mean, not to spoil. Sorry, if you didn't see it, too late. It's spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
She gets together with... Okay, I don't want to spoil it for you, but she gets together with the character you want her to be with in the end. She ends up with the guy, and he hears her singing for the first time, and it's like, wait, hang on a minute. She used to be able to only hear people. Now he can hear her. So it felt like an ending. It really did. There's just no more storyline is the problem. The father died. They left everybody trying to figure out what to do with their lives, and then she ends up with the guy, and now he can hear songs too. So I don't know. I feel bad for them that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner.
Well, the last ratings were a 0.2. So I hate to tell you, it's not coming back. Yeah, nobody's going to pick that up.
I know.
A 0.2 and that bill that you have to pay to clear all that music, it's not worth it. Nobody's going to pick it up.
That's a good point. Right. It's way too expensive for a show. I didn't think of it like that. And it's the weird thing is, I don't think they promoted it enough. I watched it. I loved it. And I thought like people that grew up watching Glee would be like, oh my, and characters from Glee are on it as well. So if you're a Glee person, this is sort of like Glee, a Glee light, or like a Glee spinoff. So you'd think that those people would be all over it. But I think it was just 0.2. That was me and like my cousin, the only two people I know that watched it.
Yeah. The Peacock Network, they said no thanks to. So,
wow.
They say yes to Green Acres and they run that, but they don't want this show. So HBO Max has a new series coming out, which on paper looks good. It's called Velma.
Okay.
And it's based on Scooby-Doo's Velma.
Oh, so it's Velma's origin story.
Yes, but it's going to have Fred, Daphne, Shaggy's going to be in it. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a whole Scooby-Doo thing, but no dog and no van.
But the whole point, literally Scooby-Doo is the name of it. It's, I mean, really?
Yeah. So no dog, no van. How can you have Shaggy and not have Scooby?
So Shaggy is in it. Scooby is not in it. Well, because you know why? Because it's a origin story.
Right. But still, you can have a small puppy.
This is the one that Mindy Kaling is producing, right? This is the Mindy Kaling one.
Right. And it's not going to be for children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Velma's going to be of East Asian descent. So it's going to be a different Velma than...
Oh, that's good.
Than we're used to. And it's going to be like in a different world. So...
Oh, I kind of like that. Actually, it's kind of edgy. I really love everything that Mindy Kaling does. So who are the actors in? Anybody?
Yeah, nobody we know yet. I don't think they've went ahead and cast that. They just have it in their head who they want to have as Velma.
Right. Right.
So, but people are upset that Scooby's not in it and the van's not in it. But if it's scary and it has villains and they solve mysteries, I'm there.
No, but they're really smart for doing it like that because that way, see, this is the problem with Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. They gave themselves nowhere to go. Whereas this way, if we haven't met the dog and the van yet, it gives them somewhere to go. Like season 2, suddenly there's a dog. Season 3, there's a van. Do you know what I mean? It's an origin story. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Right. And at the end of season 1, they can adopt a dog and you're going to go, oh, is that Scooby? Puppy.
Right. Will that be Scooby? Yeah. See, there you go. So it's not going to start with, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I like a good origin story.
Yeah. Then Fred goes and buys a van and you're like, ooh, I wonder if he's going to fix it up. Then season 3, he still hasn't fixed it up.
I know what happens. No, his uncle dies and leaves him this crappy van that's like up on cinder blocks. And they're like, is he going to turn that to the mystery van?
And they find his uncle 6 months later, but he's actually the villain in a mask. And then when he take it off, it's his uncle. And he's got the keys to the van.
This show writes itself.
And it's dark and it's scary. And yeah, I'm all about it. I love mystery stuff.
I wonder if she's going to be solving like real mysteries. You know what I mean? Like instead of just everything's, because the problem with the Scooby-Doo is everything was always ghosts. So maybe she's actually going to be solving like, serial killer stuff, like real mystery stuff. And then, her origin story is that she was really gung ho. And then she was like, oh, too much death. I want to just look for ghosts.
Right. And then she moved here with her family, and her family moved here, and she met Fred. That was the first guy she met. And then Shaggy just was hanging around Fred because he just needed rides and weed.
He was working at the Subway. They found him at Subway.
Oh, and then Shaggy was kind of into finding ghosts. He was a ghost hunter. He had those gadgets and stuff.
Yeah.
So they had him come around. So he's hanging out with them. And then it all starts on Halloween.
I hope Mindy Kaling is listening because we just wrote this for her. You're welcome, Mindy.
What else has she done?
Mindy Kaling? The Mindy Project? The Office?
Oh, I know the Mindy girl you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, she basically was one of the main writers of The Office. And then The Greatest Show on Television, The Mindy Project, which was like my favorite other show.
But those aren't scary, though.
No, but she writes really good characters. She writes characters with great backstories, and you get really into the characters. So it doesn't matter about she'll get somebody, a writing partner who knows all about the horror stuff.
Us.
Okay, us. That's true. We should be her writing partners.
We got all day, Mindy, to do nothing. We can write this. And I'm telling you, we just wrote the first season on the air.
Okay, so this whole show tonight is going to be television themed because I sent you something that has gone viral, and it's a little television situation that happened. Do you have the
yes.
Jessica?
Yep.
Okay.
So this was on
Nambian television.
Okay.
So here's what happened. So I guess there's a backstory here that we don't quite know yet. I'm sure by the time I'm finished with this sentence, somebody will have investigated to find out what happened here. But so two presenters of a Nambia flagship broadcasting, like a major, like their NBC there. Mm-hmm. They've gone viral because I had this really awkward exchange. It was live on TV. We don't know the backstory, but so there's Elmari Kapunda is the anchor, and all she has to do is throw to Jessica Kalamu. She's the sports person, the sports reporter, the sports reporter. Mm-hmm. So just throw it to her and let her do her thing. So apparently these two have had a little bit of a history because here's what actually ended up happening.
Oh, no. So they don't like each other.
Apparently not. And turn up the volume because it's really low.
It's a lot of
Good afternoon, Jessica. Good evening. When we speak about sports, we so you're not going to do that.
Let the whole thing load first because it's pretty quick and you're going to miss the exchange if you. Okay,
speak about sports. We are hearing that Coca-Cola will be fighting so you're not going to do that. You're just going to greet me and then you say take it away. You're not going to do that. Jessica, we're alive.
Okay, so in case you don't know what just happened, the anchor. This is pretty great.
Yeah, explain this to me.
Okay, so what the anchor has to do is just finish her story and then say, and now sports with Jessica. Jessica, what's going on in the world of boxing? Or just just say now to you, Jessica. Just throw it to her. That's all you've got to do. But I guess the problem is that the anchor has been kind of taking her thunder, has been saying to her things like, so in the world of boxing, this and this is going on. Tell us more about it, Jessica. So Jessica turned to her and said, no, you're not going to do that. You're just going to throw it to me. And they stood there looking at each other and she said, Jessica, we're live.
When we speak about sports, we are hearing that Coca-Cola will be fighting so you're not going to do that. You're just going to greet me and then you say take it away. You're not going to do that.
You're going to greet me and you're going to say take it away.
Jessica, we're alive.
Jessica, we are live. And they both stood there completely like deer in the headlight. They didn't know what to say next. It was awkward and weird. And these two have a history. They clearly have a history.
Wow. So I wonder what the producer is saying at this point that's up in the booth.
When we speak about sports, we are hearing that Coca-Cola will be fighting in Saturday. No, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, see, she's doing her story. This is like when I was a traffic reporter and I had like 2 big stories. They didn't let you talk very, very long when you're a traffic reporter. It's like you come in, you give like 2 or 3 of the main things going on, and then you say, 20 minutes into the George Washington Bridge and 10 minutes into the Lincoln Tunnel, and then you read your spot, this traffic report brought to you by blah, blah, blah. And then it goes to the next element. It would be as if instead of me saying there's an accident on the Bell Parkway, and in case you're heading to Staten Island, be careful because the Tappan Zee Bridge, et cetera, et cetera. It would be as if the anchor I threw it to, or the radio personnel I threw it to, said, "So, Cooper, I hear there's an accident on the Bell Parkway and there's some problems heading into Staten Island."
Yeah, why am I even here?
Right. Exactly. It's like, that's okay. Why don't you just do the traffic and I'll just sit here and tell me when I need to read my commercial? Like, so that's pretty much what she did to Jessica. Instead of Jessica had one big story. It was this big boxing match going on. So instead of saying like, what you got, she's like, oh, I hear so-and-so and so-and-so are going to be getting back in the ring and boxing. And it's like, no, girl, don't steal my thunder. Don't do my job and your job. Clearly, these two have had this issue going on for a while.
Mm-hmm. And somebody didn't show up, so they had to be on the show together that day, and it's just not going to end well.
No, I don't think anyone showed up. I think this is an issue. Listen, I've worked in enough newsrooms. Trust me, not everyone loves each other, and they have issues. What they usually do is whatever happens live on TV. You're a professional. And then afterwards, you go to the news director's office and you say, this bitch, let's talk about that. Bring her in here. Like, what the hell? And then you have it out in front of your boss. And the boss says, okay, from now on, you do this, you do that. I don't want to see anything else. And then that's it. And that's what happens. So my guess is that's happened a couple of times. And the funny thing is the anchor knew. She was kind of looking and she sat back and she was like, so, and just the minute she went down that road, you just saw Jessica's face be like, bitch, you were warned. You were warned.
Wow. And she thought it was a run through. No, we're live.
Yeah.
This is on the air.
And nobody told her, because a lot of these segments get taped. These are pre-taped segments for whatever reason, because either they don't have the boxing footage or it's the way a lot of shows are live to tape. It's just how they do it, like Showbiz Tonight, what I used to be on. Showbiz Tonight was always live to tape. Mm-hmm. So we would film it at like, whatever time, like 3:00 in the afternoon. And then you'd see it at night at, 11:00 at night. So I think no one told Jessica this was live.
Well, she has a clock. You have a watch. You can tell what time it is and what time it goes on,
And you can look over at the camera. When you see the light go on the camera, you are live. It says live.
Right. So it's kind of her fault, but it's live. And that's the great thing about live TV. And I'm glad it went off over the air like that.
But now everyone's mantra is, Jessica, we're live. So anytime anything goes wrong now in anyone's world, they're going to be like, oh, Jessica, we're live.